Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the cards I made using Love From Lizi's Frozen Mega Pack. Now this Mega Pack has already sold out, but Lizi does have the same pattern paper, just in the 6x6 size. It doesn't include the stamp set, it's just the paper. And I will have a link provided in the description box if you want to check that out. I'm jumping right into my first set of cards using a sketch from MFT. This is number 488. I'm using two different pattern papers. I have this darling penguin paper on the top and then some snowflake paper on the bottom with some silver foil. Layer this on some greenish gray cardstock that I have on hand. I used some of the pearlescent paper that was included in the Mega Pack for that thin strip that goes across the card. And I didn't measure those diagonal cuts. I really just eyeballed it. I did add measurements to this sketch, so if you want to try to recreate this card, you can. For the sentiment, I used a stamp that was included in the Mega Pack. It had tons of great Christmas and a few winter sentiments. Decided to pop up this circle die cut using some foam dimensional tape. And I am changing the sketch up just a little bit. I'm going to add a small banner in the upper left-hand corner. I cut out some tiny snowflakes. I used some silver glitter paper that was from one of Love From Lizi's add-ons. I always save all the little scraps because it's perfect for stuff like this. I put 3 of the snowflakes around the sentiment, and then I'm going to glue 2 on that banner. And there is my finished card. Now, since I did cut those 2 papers at an angle, I had the opposite side as well. So you could see I used both pieces and I was able to create a total of 8 cards. For the other set of cards, I used some polar bear paper and some very subtle snowflake paper. It's a greenish gray color. It looks more gray in the video, but it does have just that little hint of green to it. Since I'm completely finished making Christmas cards this year, I used mostly winter, or there's a New Year sentiment that's included on the stamp set. So moving on to my next set of cards, I'm not using a card sketch this time. I have this really fun watercolor looking paper for the background. And I'm adding a strip of this beautiful star with silver foil paper. To make sure to get it nice and straight. I had it a little too long, so I just trimmed away the extra. I'm going to use some silver mirror Love From Lizi peel-offs. I have I think it's the medium width that I'm putting right along the edge of that star paper. And I'll just wrap the ends around the back. I'm going to layer this panel onto some blue cardstock. I did cut a circle out of the blue cardstock, and I'll be using it on my card later. I'm going to fill in that gap with some scrap cardstock. And this will just help so there isn't that noticeable dip on the front of the card. So I'm going to put my card front onto a card base. Then I'm going to start working on the sentiment. So I've already gone ahead and cut out that circle as you saw earlier. I'm going to do some heat embossing on it using some Versamark ink. I first treated the paper with some anti-static powder, and then I inked it up twice just to make sure I had a nice solid impression. I'm going to use some of Love From Lizi's embossing powder. This is the silver dollar color. And it looks really dark right now on this dark blue paper, but it is going to brighten up once I heat set it. I'll use my reverse tweezers to hold this so I won't burn my fingers. And now you can see the magic start to happen. I know I'm turning it at an angle so it's a little harder to see. Now you can see that beautiful silver shine. The sentiment is some people are worth melting for, and it has some tiny little snowflakes all around the sentiment. I'm going to layer this blue die cut on some of the silver mirror cardstock that's included with the Mega Pack. If you've never tried one of Love From Lizi's Mega Packs before, I highly recommend them. They are full of paper. There's 32 sheets of 8x8 pattern paper, and many of those papers have a specialty finish on them. Pearlescent, they're spot gloss, sometimes they have glitter. There's also 4 sheets of specialty cardstock. So in this kit, there was some pearlescent and also some mirror cardstock. And then this time the kit came with a large sentiment stamp set. Some of the ones in the past have had a die set, but there's always a little something extra, and it makes it super easy to make a ton of cards. Even though this mega pack is sold out, she still has, I think, 3 or 4 that are still in stock. And I will add a link to the videos I've made using those mega packs at the end of this video if you want to check them out. So to finish off this card, I added 2 small banners in the upper left-hand corner, and then used some Nuvo crystal drops in the Morning Dew color. Just added a few around the card. So there is my finished card, and I did make a total of 4. So now moving on to card design number 3. I have this fun snowflake paper. I used a stitched rectangle die to cut out this piece. I'm adding some more of the silver mirror peel-offs. I'm not going to go all the way across the card because it is going to be covered up on the right hand side. I'm adding 3 peel-off strips. I have the widest width in the middle and then the medium width on the outside. I'll just tuck those ends around the back. And then for the sentiment, I decided to use the Let It Snow again. So I have it on a white circle die cut, layering that on some of this dark blue cardstock. I'll put some liquid adhesive on the back and glue it to the right hand side of the card, leaving part of that circle hanging off the edge. Then I just flipped over the panel and trimmed away the extra. I'm going to put this panel onto a scalloped rectangle die. I put some ATG tape on the back and also some liquid adhesive. I've noticed when I use a stitched die, sometimes the edges warp slightly. So by adding that liquid adhesive, it makes sure that everything stays in place. I just layered that card front onto a card base. One of the beautiful pattern papers that's included has this pearlescent finish and this dark blue watercolor background. So I used that paper and then cut out an assortment of snowflakes, all in different sizes and styles. And these are just some snowflake dies that I have on hand. You can use any snowflake dies that you have. And then I'm just gonna glue these directly onto the card, just filling in the background. And I know someone is gonna ask why I'm using the art glitter glue instead of the Barely art glue. I decided to use the art glitter glue since it does adhere just a little bit faster than the Barely art glue. And since I'm using some pearlescent paper, I didn't want to have to hold all of these die cuts down for very long. I really like both glues and I have a ton of each of them, so you're going to see me alternate between them every once in a while. So I'm going to add just a few more small snowflakes. And then a finishing touch, I decided to use some more of the Nuvo crystal drops in the Morning Dew color. I'm just adding 1 drop to the center of each of the snowflakes. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. And I did make a total of 4. The Nuvo drops were still wet at this point, so I didn't want to lay the cards on top of each other. Now moving on to card design number 4, I'm going to bring in one of my favorite card sketches. I know if you've watched my videos, I keep using this one again and again, but it's perfect for featuring some lovely pattern paper. It's OWH sketch number 218. I have this very light tone-on-tone paper for the background. It has this sort of a distressed look to it. And then for the strip that goes across the card, it's green pattern paper that has a few snowflakes on it. Also has that very distressed look to it. I'm going to add some of Love From Lizi's Racing Green Mirror Peel-Offs to the edge of this green pattern paper, just for some extra contrast and shine. I'll add this panel onto some green cardstock. I'll put my card front onto a card base. Has anyone noticed my new dark gray craft mat? I used to have a warm gray and was much lighter, but it was looking a little dingy, so I decided to flip it over, and this is what's on the back side. It's throwing me off right now because it's so dark, But the rest of the colors, the papers, and even my skin tone, it looks correct. So I'm thinking it still looks good. And I see other crafters using black mats, and it always looks so nice. So I thought I'd try the dark gray. For the sentiment, I'm using a die. This is Smile, and it has a little heart for the dot where the eye is. This was included in a Love From Lizi kit earlier this year. Maybe it was last year. I don't even remember anymore. But I decided it was perfect to put on this little banner, the lower left-hand corner of the card. Using some more of the tone-on-tone pattern papers, there are quite a few muted patterns included in this collection. Makes it really easy to combine several different pattern papers. Now before I adhere this banner, I am going to add a scrap piece of cardstock to the left-hand side just to keep everything at the same level. And then I can add some liquid adhesive to the back of the Smile sentiment and then glue it onto that banner. And I did layer the Smile. I used some of the silver mirror cardstock and also some of the same green cardstock. Then I offset them slightly so you can see some of the green cardstock as an outline. Then I use that extra piece where I cut the fishtail. I have a little green cardstock banner and decided to add that to the upper right-hand corner of the card. Then for those 3 small circles on the sketch, I used some Love From Lizi mini circle peel-offs in the silver mirror color. So there is my finished card, and I did make a total of 4. Now moving on to my 5th card design, using a card sketch from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 310. For the background, I have this dark blue paper with some silver glitter stars. I'm going to add this banner to the left-hand side. It's very subtle, but it has a white and blue marble look on it. The gray cardstock I'm using for the layer has a pearlescent finish on it, so I did decide to use a little bit of liquid adhesive before adhering that dark blue panel. I'll put my card front onto a card base. For that smaller rectangle on the sketch, I just used some solid blue cardstock, and then to add a little extra detail, I used a striped embossing folder. For the sentiment, I'm using Happy New Year, stamped it on a stitched square die cut, and then I layered it on some dark blue cardstock. I used liquid adhesive to adhere the sentiment since it's going on top of that embossed background. I find if you use just ATG, it doesn't always adhere well, so the liquid adhesive really helps. For some extra details, I cut out 3 small stars, used that silver mirror cardstock. I popped them up using some thin foam squares and then just adhered them to the left of the sentiment. And then I'll finish off the card adding some of Love From Lizi's mini star peel-offs in the silver glitter color. I have 3 of them around the sentiment, and then I decided to add more to the background paper. I felt that that pattern paper didn't have enough glitter stars. So just adding that smaller size, it really worked well with the whole Happy New Year feel. So there's my finished card, and I did make a total of 4. And if I didn't mention earlier, all of my cards in this video are A2 size. So 5.5 inches by 4 1/4. Now here's a quick recap of the 24 cards I made using Love From Lizi's Frozen Mega Pack. This Mega Pack has already sold out, but the 6x6 pattern paper is still available. I will have links provided in the description box if you want to check that out. Love From Lizi also offers a monthly card kit, and they're always my favorite. The January kit is coming very soon. I will have a link provided in the description box if you are interested in subscribing to her kits. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.